and I'm delighted to welcome Sawan Joshi, CISO for the privacy business.
Hi, nice to see you.
Good to see you. Now, we're going to be talking about enterprise readiness for SaaS startups. Can you kick off by, I know you've said that privacy needs a dependable level of security for the companies to work together. Can you explain exactly what it is that you mean by that?
Sure. Throughout my career, I've worked for many enterprises and also management consulting for a few years. Now, in that, I found that often as we adapt and change what we do and bring in new ideas from people who rapidly change the company and change the way we think, we end up embracing new technology to do so. And often these are startups. We can't rule out startups. But I find that enterprises have a certain level of playing field before a startup can sit on a table with them and do business. This is the procurement due diligence. This is the governance and risk aspect of things. So how do startups get on that table when they absolutely have no background whatsoever? So they have to have the right 360-degree preparation in order to do so.
Mm. So we're kind of talking, I guess, about the opposite of the due diligence, the people who are actually going to be investigated. So what sort of advice would you give to that sort of SaaS startup?
A startup needs to have a 360-degree view of everything in the organization. I use that term a lot because it comes down to knowing. Now, privacy and security have a very important part to play, whether they realize it or not, because they have to take that hat of being a business leader first and then apply the specialty afterwards. So first, getting the attention means know how much money is coming into the business, how it came in, what kind of investment model, how that changes, how other rounds might change, what the vehicle looks like, understand how revenue generation is going in terms of the sales model for the SaaS product or anything they're building. Knowing these things allows them to take a risk assessment approach for what matters to them, their mission, and the people they want to do business with. If they know those things and constantly network within the organization in order to keep a front-footed approach, then they'll be able to be the better advisor and steward for the organization and their business partners.
Mm-hmm. And from a security perspective, where do you start? And what are your priorities?
Priorities have got to be a balanced protection of assets and revenue generation support. And in order to do that, the mission of the organization and how it affects the external parties who are going to potentially do business with them is key. So that means regulation, laws, good practices, and creating a governance framework that can be measured and tracked with return on investment throughout the year and be proven as a metric for continuous improvement.
And how do you advise them when it comes to making sure that security is embedded into the organization rather than something that they add on?
So sometimes an organization may have a different strategic plan. And if they're building something that they want to sell later down the line, that is going to be an operation, then it has a different approach. Are you selling an operation or are you selling the IP? If they're building a software as a service product, and we talk about startups because a lot of the startups these days are building a software product. Lowering complexity is very important and increasing transparency into everything so that you can quickly prove trust to prospects, whether those are investors, customers, or partners. To prove it quickly and simply is really important. So that means embedding security into software development, business operations, HR onboarding, marketing, every element, including infrastructures, architecture, and things like that. So by doing that and doing it simply and keeping transparent artifacts so that you can prove what they are, how quickly they are, you can close deals or investment rounds very quickly.
Mm. But in a SaaS environment, isn't the client responsible for the security, or who takes responsibility?
The client has a percentage. They have their due diligence questionnaires, vendor risk management approach that is very key, and every organization is different. Sometimes it'll be a conversation, sometimes it'll be a spreadsheet with questions, or it could be another SaaS product. Now, to be able to prove these things and quickly build a level of trust together is really important. So getting an independent validation to align to that is also key. So company certifications, ISO 27001, Cyber Essentials Plus, SOC 2, SOC 1, these kind of evidence artifacts are really important, as well as your own management framework. After all, the supplier vendor risk management framework that's often referred to as it's called the SIG, Shared Information Gathering Framework. It's fed into by over 50 global frameworks. Now that isn't one that you want to take and apply to every organization, but you tailor it like everything and create a very simple way to prove your part and expect the same from them.
Mm-hmm. And finally, what would be the key takeaway for our audience?
Well, if you're joining a SaaS company for the enterprise, then find out everything about the organization. Find out things that you find are not in your remit. Become a partner, become a big business steward that's known all around the organization. Because if you're trusted, you'll get a seat at the table around the organization. And that's going to help them grow your brand in order to grow their brand.
Sawan, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. It's been really useful. I've been talking to Sawan Joshi. I'm Toby Morbin for ISMG, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.